Welcome to today's lecture on Introduction to the Cardiovascular System. This chapter introduces the cardiovascular system, which is the body's transport network. Its primary job is to deliver oxygen and nutrients to cells while removing waste for excretion. The system is made up of two main parts: the pump, which is the heart, and the network of tubes or blood vessels that move blood continuously throughout the body. Without this constant circulation, tissues cannot survive, which is why the cardiovascular system is often described as the lifeline of the body. Now let's take a look at the structure of the heart. The heart has four chambers: the right and left atria on top, and the right and left ventricles on the bottom. The septum divides the right and left sides of the heart, preventing mixing of oxygenated and deoxygenated blood. Notice that the atria receive blood and the ventricles pump blood out. The auricles, which are small extensions of the atria, increase the atrial capacity. Understanding the structure helps us see how blood flows efficiently through the body. Now let's take a closer look at blood flow into and out of the heart. The right side of the heart collects blood that has traveled all over the body and now is low on oxygen. This blood comes in through large veins, the superior and inferior vena cava, and is pumped to the lungs through the pulmonary artery. At the lungs, blood exchanges carbon dioxide for oxygen. Then the left side of the heart takes over. It pumps freshly oxygenated blood into the aorta, the biggest artery, which branches out to deliver blood everywhere. This process of how blood flows into and out of the heart repeats in cycles called the cardiac cycle. The cardiac cycle is the rhythm of the heartbeat. This takes place in two key phases. First is diastole. During diastole, the heart relaxes and blood returns to the chambers. The heart fills with blood like a balloon being filled with water. Systole is the other phase. During systole, the heart contracts. The heart squeezes and pushes blood forward. Starling's law explains how the heart adjusts the amount of blood returning. According to Starling's law, the more the heart muscle is stretched by incoming blood, the stronger the contraction will be. The more the chambers are stretched by filling, the stronger they will contract. For example, like a rubber band snapping back harder when it is stretched farther. This law helps match the heart's output with the body's needs. Cardiac conduction. Unlike skeletal muscle, the heart doesn't rely on nerves to tell it when to contract. Instead, it has its own electrical wiring system. It starts with the SA node in the right atrium. This is considered the natural pacemaker of the heart. The impulse spreads through the atria, causing them to contract. It pauses briefly at the AV node. This delay is important because it lets the ventricles feel before they contract. The signal then travels down to the bundle of His, into the bundle branches, and through the Purkinje fibers, causing the ventricles to contract from the bottom up, efficiently squeezing blood out. Cardiac cells are special because of automaticity. They can create electrical impulses on their own without nerve input. That's why even a heart removed from the body can beat for a short time. These impulses follow a predictable pattern called an action potential. Phase 0 Sodium rushes in, cell depolarizes, starting the impulse. Phase 1, slight dip and early repolarization. Phase 2 is our plateau. This is where calcium flows in. This is unique to heart cells and allows contraction. In phase 3, potassium flows out, thus repolarizing the cell. Phase 4 is the resting phase. The cell resets and gets ready for the next beat. This cycle repeats over and over, making the heartbeat consistent. This slide just shows you a diagram of each phase that occurs during action potentials. Another key property of cardiac conduction is conductivity, the ability of the cardiac cells to rapidly transmit impulses. Conduction velocity is slowest at the AV node, which ensures the ventricles have time to fill, and the fastest in the Purkinje fibers, so both ventricles contract almost simultaneously. This rapid and coordinated transmission is vital for efficient pumping. The autonomic nervous system fine-tunes heart function. The sympathetic nervous system speeds up the heart, enhances AV node conduction, and increases contraction strength. For example, the sympathetic nervous system is like a gas pedal. It makes the heart beat faster, conduct impulses quicker, and contract harder. This helps in situations like during exercise or stress. The parasympathetic system, through the vagus nerve, slows the heart rate. For example, the parasympathetic nervous system is the brake. It slows down the heart rate, mostly through the vagus nerve, conserving energy during rest. This balance allows the heart to respond to stress, rest, and changing oxygen demands. When stimulated, cardiac muscles allow calcium to flow in, which inactivates troponin and enables actin and myosin to form cross bridges. These proteins slide past each other, shortening the sarcomere, which is the contractile unit of muscle. Importantly, when one cardiac muscle cell contracts, it triggers neighboring cells to contract, creating the powerful pumping action of the heart. This diagram shows the sarcomere, the functional unit of contraction in cardiac muscle. Think of it as an engine inside each cell. When calcium enters, actin and myosin filaments grab and pull, shortening the sarcomere and producing a contraction. When calcium leaves, the muscle relaxes. Multiply this process by billions of cells and you get the heartbeat. Electrocardiography, or ECG, records the heart's electrical activity. Electrodes pick up impulses and graph them into a waveform. Why is this important? It allows us to detect abnormal rhythms, blocked conduction pathways, or evidence of heart damage. Nurses must be able to recognize basic ECG patterns because they provide a window into the heart's function. Let's take a look at normal ECG waveforms. An ECG has 5 main waves. We have the P wave, which is our atrial depolarization from the SA node. The QRS complex, which is the depolarization of the ventricles, as well as the T wave, which is ventricle repolarization. Together, these waves reflect the electrical activity that drives each heartbeat. And this diagram shows your normal ECG waveforms, showing our P wave, our QRS, and our T. Critical points of the ECG. Intervals and segments give additional information. PR interval shows the delay at the AV node, ensuring ventricle filling. QT interval represents the time of ventricle depolarization and repolarization, which is critical for identifying arrhythmia risk. The ST segment provides key information about repolarization and can indicate ischemia or myocardial injury. Now let's take a closer look at courses of circulation of the blood. The body uses two circulation pathways. Pulmonary circulation, the right heart pumps blood to the lungs for gas exchange. Systemic circulation, the left heart pumps oxygenated blood to the entire body. These two circuits work together continuously, ensuring oxygen delivery and waste removal. This diagram shows the key components for blood flow through the systemic and pulmonary vascular circuits. Now let's take a closer look at pulmonary circulation. In pulmonary circulation, blood flows from the body into the right atrium, through the right ventricle, and out to the lungs. Here, blood releases carbon dioxide and picks up oxygen. Oxygenated blood then returns to the left atrium, ready to be sent into systemic circulation. In systemic circulation, oxygen-rich blood flows from the left atrium to the left ventricle, then into the aorta. From there, arteries branch into arterioles and capillaries. Oxygen and nutrients diffuse into tissues, and waste move into the venous system for return to the heart. The systemic system is highly adaptable, adjusting to the body's metabolic needs. Fluid shift within the cells. At the capillaries, fluid shifts maintain balance. On the arterial side, higher pressure pushes oxygen and nutrients out of the tissues. On the venous side, fluids and waste move back in. If this system is disrupted, for example, in low protein states or heart failure, fluid may leak into tissues, causing edema. Coronary circulation. The heart itself needs oxygen to keep pumping. The coronary arteries supply this blood, and they fill during diastole, when the heart relaxes. That's why diastolic pressure is important for coronary perfusion. This is called end artery circulation, meaning there aren't many alternate routes if an artery is blocked. That's why coronary artery disease can be deadly. Main forces determining heart's oxygen consumption. The heart's oxygen needs depend on four things. Number one, heart rate. The faster the heart beats, the more oxygen it needs. Number two, preload. The more blood returned to the heart, the harder the heart has to pump. Number three, afterload. The higher the resistance, the more force the heart must generate. And number four, contractility. Stronger contractions means more calcium use, which in turn increases the heart's oxygen demands. These factors explain why patients with angina or heart failure struggle when demands increase. Coronary arteries and veins. This diagram shows the coronary arteries branching from the aorta and wrapping around the heart. They feed the heart muscle itself. Coronary veins return used blood to the right atrium. When arteries are narrowed by atherosclerosis, oxygen supply is reduced, leading to chest pain, arrhythmias, or even myocardial infarction. Systemic arterial pressure. Blood pressure is a measure of systemic arterial pressure. We have systolic pressure, which essentially is how strong the heart pumps, and diastolic pressure, which is baseline pressure in the arteries. Too low equals hypotension, which can mean poor perfusion. Too high equals hypertension, which damages vessels and organs. The body regulates blood pressure through nerves and hormones like the natriuretic peptides, which help lower blood pressure by increasing sodium and water excretion. The renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system. The renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system plays a central role in blood pressure and fluid balance. When the kidneys sense low blood flow, they release renin. This starts a cascade producing angiotensin II, a powerful vasoconstrictor that raises blood pressure. Angiotensin II also signals the release of aldosterone, which makes the kidneys retain sodium and water, increasing blood volume and pressure. This system is vital for survival but can worsen hypertension, which is why so many drugs target it, like ACE inhibitors and ARBs. Venous pressure. Blood in veins exerts venous pressure. If the heart does not pump effectively, venous pressure rises, leading to congestion. On the left side, this causes pulmonary edema, while right-sided failure results in peripheral and abdominal edema. Monitoring venous congestion helps in early recognition of heart failure.